So this talk is just about thinking differently about network operations. Typically, many of us throughout our tenure and our careers have open change requests to make changes to the network. Usually after you submit a change request, or when you go to submit a change request, say in a ticketing system like ServiceNow, BMC Remedy, there's a pre-filled text forms. And is there enough detail in the ticket? Maybe. And then once you've submitted the request and you've got it approved, you have to follow some kind of operational procedures. Have these operational procedures been updated? Are they interpreted differently by senior engineers or junior engineers? When you go to execute the change, you run a bunch of show commands beforehand, make sure everything that you think you want to care about is in front of your face. You execute the change, then you run a bunch of other show commands, make sure that everything is hunky-dory, compare them somehow. Often these types of operations are facilitated by scripts. Somebody's written a script to help automate certain processes, like say adding a VLAN. That's what I'm going to demonstrate later. Maybe that script was written by you a couple years ago. Somebody copied it from your home directory and they modified it. And now they are using a different version of the same script, but it's not stored in version control. This whole tribal knowledge of like how traditional assisted or like semi-automated workflows might work. And the problem there is that we don't have the consistency, you don't have the oversight, you don't really have the audit trail, and you don't really have assertion that the same job is being done the same way every single time. So that's really where the appeal of automation. So I'm going to talk today about give you a demonstration of a couple of just small automated workflows. I'm going to demonstrate ServiceNow, but this could be any other type of IT service management tool like BMC Remedy, Jira, as long as it has an API. And so ServiceNow has a great API, so that's why we're going to demonstrate it. So what we've done is we've integrated ServiceNow with Ansible. And Ansible again we chose because it has a good API, but it could also be Cisco NSO, other types of configuration management systems that are programmable. But the idea here is that you submit a change request, it has specific fields that need to be filled out, the workflow is automatically executed on the back end, magic happens, progress is updated to the ticketing system, and then eventually the ticket is automatically closed, and you have assertion that the change was executed reliably and repeatedly. And so this is the stack I'm going to demonstrate here, and this is we feel like this is an appealing demo because a lot of enterprises are much more policy-centric now, and with the DevOps movement, people really want to be able to move more quickly. And so what we're going to demonstrate here is that we have this entry point of ServiceNow to kick off a change. Ansible Tower will then make the changes to the infrastructure, and then the feedback loop from Ansible will be reflected back into the ticket. But what's more important here is that we want to demonstrate that there are multiple ways to consume the same workflow. So the work is being done by Ansible Tower, but you could either kick it off yourself directly in Ansible Tower, you could kick it off from ServiceNow, or you could kick it off from Slack. And so I'm going to demonstrate the ServiceNow and Slack today. But really the value I'm trying to demonstrate here is that we have, no matter which way that you consume the workflow, the exact same workflow steps are completed, and you always have an exact trail of everything that happens. So that, I'm going to jump into the demo. So we've got a list of tickets here. I'm going to demonstrate this form. ServiceNow has the ability to do custom forms, like many other ticketing systems do. This has dynamic inventory from a source of truth. I'm going to kind of just breeze over that today, but we're going to test on this one Cisco Nexus Spine switch here. We're going to create a new VLAN. So for this form, we have these fields that we want, so we're just going to call this really awesome VLAN and give it VLAN ID 100 and say, we really need this. And if anybody has any problems, they can come see me. So this little box down here, this pre-approved change box, we're going to check this box, and what that means is that we're just going to skip the approval step and automatically send it over to execute. If we didn't check this box, this is in keeping with what a lot of environments have. You have these standard changes, pre-approved changes, safe changes, pretty much anything that's kind of been vetted that you know that you have a workflow for. But in this case, just for the sake of the demo and to try and get through the end of it, we're just going to skip the approval step. So I'm going to go ahead and just submit this ticket or submit this change request. Sometimes it takes a sec. Okay, there it goes. It's number 524. Now if I switch over to Ansible, log in, go to the jobs, we'll see here that there is a VLAN management job that got kicked off, and you see it's green, flashing green means it's in progress. See here that we have a little bit of metadata that says it is ticket 524. On the right we see that stuff is happening. Ansible is executing the VLAN creation task. But what's even cooler about this is if we switch back to ServiceNow, we see that a little bit of context has been added to the ticket about what's being created, and then if we go to the ticket notes, we see that Ansible is feeding real-time feedback back into ServiceNow on every step of the workflow. This is incredibly cool. We see that the ticket state has been changed to implement by Ansible, and as we just sit here and let this go, what's happening is that we've submitted a change by way of our ticketing system. The ticketing system integrated with our config management system, and the config management system is feeding back real-time updates back to the ticket system. So we have a full audit trail of everything that's happened. And so you see here, after the changes happen, it's asserting that the VLAN is actually there. And then it's showing us a difference, a diff that compares the config before and after. So it shows that we did actually add the VLAN and the uptime changed a little bit. And then ultimately the job is marked as complete, and we see here that the ticket status has been marked as closed. So just as a reminder, this could just be any other ticketing system like Remedy, like Jira, that have a programmable API that you can use to integrate. So next I'm going to demonstrate Slack. And you see here that there's already some output in Slack. And this is what was actually happening here is that Ansible Tower was actually feeding back the same progress updates to the Slack channel. So I'm going to demonstrate again that we can kick off and add VLAN tasks directly from Slack. And so again, the devices are coming from source of truth. I'm going to create another really awesome VLAN and give it VLAN ID 200. Notice there's no pre-approved change checkbox, pre-approved change checkbox here, and that's because we've said in Slack, adding a new VLAN is a safe operation and we can skip the approval step. So we're going to go ahead and do that. It's going to take a second. This is Slack fired off a hook to our API, to Ansible Tower. Ansible Tower is now feeding back to ServiceNow to submit a ticket, and then moments later we have a ticket ID which is 525, and if we click the links here, the first one being the ServiceNow link and the second one being Tower, then we can go and look and get real-time status updates here as well. So really what this is demonstrating is that we have, as I said in the beginning, multiple ways to consume the same workflow, and even if you kick it off in Slack, the updates are still going back to ServiceNow. So really what this, the pipe dream here is that we're compromising between traditional, what would be sometimes stodgy or rigid enterprise policy controls, especially for verifications or validations, actually codifying and automating those, and then moving the needle a little bit and allowing a little more agility in network operations using modern tools like Slack or ServiceNow. And again, Slack could also be HipChat, Slack could be WebEx Teams, any other type of chat operations that has some type of API you can integrate with. And as you see here, it's still just giving us the same outputs, in a way that's valuable and usable in Slack. And it's given us the same updates. Shows us that VLAN 200 was actually created. This isn't just a fake demo. And then now the ticket's closed. And that concludes my demo. Oh, so in closing, leading my last sheet, I'm Jason McCall from networktocode. I'll be here for the rest of the conference, so please come find me if you'd like to talk shop or have questions or anything. Thank you very much.